Fair to middling. I'm just going to everybody. I'm waiting for the nod from all of you to say that you're all good. Okay, no worries.
While we wait, you can say "in it for you" 100 times quickly.
Can you say CPTPP 100?
Oh, you were the thing that I was just at. Yeah, it's not the world's easiest agreement to pronounce. All right, everybody's good?
Yep.
Okay, thanks everybody. When I took over as Prime Minister, I said that I wanted our government to get back to focusing on the basics, to the issues that New Zealanders really care about and that are really important to them. And that includes tackling inflation, dealing with the pressure that Kiwi families are under because of the increasing cost of living, making sure our public services like health and education are properly funded because New Zealanders rely on those public services on a day-to-day basis. And also making sure that we're creating an economy that allows our households to earn more money, to generate the type of economic conditions where our businesses can thrive so that people can be paid more, so that when they're working hard they can get ahead. That's very much been my focus in the 6 months that I've had this job so far, and it's going to be my focus in the next term of government as well. Over the next 89 days we'll be setting out Labour's plan for the next term of Parliament and beyond. It will be a plan that focuses on those issues that we know New Zealanders are really focused on themselves. Things like the cost of living, things like investing in public services, and it's going to paint a very clear contrast. We're investing in the things that matter to New Zealanders, we're prioritising the things that matter to New Zealanders, and the contrast is an opposition that wants to propose significant tax cuts for the wealthiest New Zealanders so that millionaires and chief executives get big tax cuts, while our public services and the things that New Zealanders rely on a daily basis get starved of the funding and the resources that they need. I think New Zealanders deserve better than that. That's why I'm in it for them, and that's what our campaign is going to be all about.
You didn't fancy a third version of Let's Do something?
Look, it's a different campaign. You know, we've been in government for 2 years. For 2 terms. I'm incredibly proud of what we've achieved in the 2 terms we've been in government. This campaign is really going to be about setting out our vision, our priorities for the next term.
How does the party land on a campaign slogan? What sort of process does it take to get to something like this?
Ultimately, I wanted a slogan that reflects why I'm in politics, and I'm in politics because I want New Zealand families who are working hard to be able to get ahead, to be able to create a better life for themselves and for their families. And so I wanted to make sure that our campaign reflects that, and the way we talk about our campaign reflects that. So I think a campaign slogan's got to be authentic, and I believe that this one is.
National says it doesn't need slogans, it needs answers.
Well, that's a little bit ironic, given so far all we've heard from the National Party are slogans. I think this campaign billboard reflects what our campaign is going to be about. It's going to be about making sure New Zealanders can get ahead.
When are you going to start actually telling us what your plan is, though?
As I've said, there's 89 days to go until the election. My focus for the first 6 months as Prime Minister has been on dealing with the issues that have been in front of us as a country. Now we've got an opportunity in the next couple of months to set out what we will do in the next term, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to do that. So people are going to hear a lot more from us in the next few weeks and months. plans about what we will do in the next term, and it will be more about, rather than reprioritising and focusing and dealing with the immediate issues that we've dealt with in the last 6 months, it is going to be looking further ahead.
Earlier this week you ruled out ever implementing a capital gains tax or wealth tax as long as you are leader. Did you have a discussion about that with the wider caucus?
Yes.
I mean, given you announced it while you were overseas, at what point did you have that discussion?
We had a discussion shortly after I left, but I've had ongoing conversations with various ministers and caucus colleagues about it.
And of course you say you didn't have a mandate, you need to take that to the polls. Are you not concerned that by sort of trying to win over some of the people in the centre, you might lose some of those votes to the Greens and to Party Māori on the left?
No, I think that what New Zealanders are going to see from us in the coming election campaign is a very optimistic vision about the future of the country. And they are going to see the issues that they care about reflected in the policy platform that we put before them. So that is going to include making sure that we're investing in the public services that they rely on. It is going to include creating the economic conditions that allow them to earn more money in the first place, because that's actually the thing that's going to help Kiwi families to get ahead.
I guess why commission a report into the state of wealth in New Zealand? You've got the answers to it, and then you've decided not to do anything about it.
No, I disagree that we're not doing anything about it. If you look at the changes that we've made to the tax rate for trusts, for example,
that was a loophole that you left open that 3 years later you're now deciding to close. That
is a concrete step that we've taken since that report was released, and we'll be setting out our overall tax plan in the next few weeks.
Are you a bit slow off the mark this election campaign?
We've had a lot to focus on in the last 6 months, but I think New Zealanders are certainly going to see in the next 3 months that we are very focused on making sure that we're giving them good positive reasons to vote for us. I'm very fired up about this election campaign. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Your slogan is "In it for you." Who's National in it for?
Well, people can form their own judgments about that, but a contrast is clearly a party that wants to invest in the public services New Zealanders rely on, that wants to very much focus on making sure that families who work hard can get ahead, versus a party that wants to provide tax cuts to millionaires and chief executives.
What do you think of National's pothole policy, the $500 million one?
Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'll get you to ask that one again.
What do you think of National's pothole policy, the $500 million one?
Well, ultimately, the National Party's numbers just don't add up. The government has increased the spending on road maintenance by about 54% after it was effectively frozen by the last national government. So we are catching up on road maintenance, and that includes potholes. But what they're proposing to do is cut the budget for road safety. What does that budget pay for? It pays for things like median barriers, and it pays for over 1,000 police on the beat dealing with road safety. So it's another example of where National are proposing to cut something. So they're effectively proposing to cut the number of police on the beat dealing with road safety. They're going to cut the funding for median barriers and for other road safety improvements to do something that we're doing already, which is increasing the funding for road maintenance. We're already doing that.
Can you think of a suitable slogan for National?
Not something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about. To be honest, they have so many slogans, it's difficult to keep up.
Speaking of slogans and branding, if I can just keep the Prime Minister hat on for a little bit. Now that there's a country from the Atlantic in the CPTPP, is there scope to change the name or the acronym so that it's easier to say?
The CPTPP, of course, works on consensus. If there's a desire to name it something better, I would be very pleased about that, given the mouthful that it is. But it is a gold standard trade agreement. It's one that New Zealand is incredibly proud to be part of, and we're excited about the UK joining the CPTPP because international trade and our exports are one of the things that we're doing as a government, increasing the opportunities we have there. It's one of the things we're doing as a government to lift New Zealanders' incomes. When our exporters are doing well, that's good for the overall economy. It means New Zealanders can earn more and can get ahead. So I'm excited about today's developments with the CPTPP. I think the UK joining is really positive for New Zealand.
Given that we've already got an FTA with the UK, what does that mean for us? Is it sort of them being there will attract other countries that we can do trade with?
Ultimately, the focus of our government has been on continuing to broaden, deepen and diversify our trading relationships. A commitment by more countries to a rules-based system of international trade, including by joining the CPT and including by signing bilateral free trade agreements. Those are all good developments for New Zealand.
Do you see much progress being made at today's meeting in getting any new members in there, particularly China or Taiwan?
We welcome the interest that there is in joining the CPTPP. It's a gold standard agreement. The thresholds for entry into that agreement are high, and there's a process that we need to work through. New Zealand will play its part in considering and assessing any new applications to join the CPTPP, but of course those decisions get made by consensus of all of the economies that are members of that agreement.
Realistically, do you see China potentially joining, realistically?
As I've indicated a few weeks ago, we welcome China's interest in joining the CPTPP. There's now a process that we need to work through. New Zealand is just one participant in that process, and China will ultimately need to meet the criteria to join the CPTPP, and there's a process to work through to determine whether or not they do.
And the UK's joining, is that going to make any dollar difference to New Zealanders?
The big thing that's going to make a massive difference to us is the bilateral trade agreement that we've got with the UK. We welcome them in joining the CPTPP because of the potential to broaden and deepen our international trading relationships with them and with the other countries within the CPTPP. Overall it's a positive development.
Are you looking forward to back at work tomorrow with the extra coaching? What does extra coaching mean?
Look, I'd encourage all ministers who want to access extra coaching. Ultimately the concept of representative democracy is that people come from all walks of life into Parliament, and to get the best out of them, everybody from time to time will need a little bit of extra help and a little bit of extra guidance and support. I've never been afraid to reach out and ask for that when it's helped me to do my job better, and I encourage all ministers to do the same. So we'll have a conversation. I'm going to have a further conversation with her about how best we can do that, but I'll have those conversations with every minister as well, as something that I've always indicated. I think everybody should be aspiring to improve themselves whilst in their job, whatever job it is that they're doing, and as I guess the head of the government, my job is to make sure that ministers are all and MPs are all supported to do that.
Is there something you'd like to see a bit more of ministers being able to take some time off for their mental health? It's not particularly a common occurrence. Do you think this might have opened up a conversation around that?
Being a minister, being an MP, is an incredibly stressful job. It's in the public limelight all of the time. Everywhere you go, people are watching what you're doing, and that can be incredibly tough. If people need to take a little bit of time off now and then to decompress, I'd encourage them to do that, and I would support them to do that. If people want to focus a little bit on their own personal development and their career, the development of their career, a bit of career coaching, I'd also support that as well. Ultimately, that's going to mean that we can do a better job for New Zealanders.
How much of an unnecessary distraction is what's happened to her to what you're trying to do here today?
Look, ultimately, we're very, very focused on gearing up for the election campaign, on making sure that New Zealanders know that we're focused on giving them good, positive reasons to vote for us, and they're going to see a lot more of those in the coming weeks and months.
Are you expecting to see Michael Wood come back on Tuesday?
He's a very valuable member of our team. I fully expect him to be fully engaged in the campaign.
And has he given any indication that he does intend to run again in Mount Roskill?
That's ultimately a question for him. I haven't had a conversation with him about that, but until I hear otherwise, yes, I'm expecting him to.
Talking about the slogan, what has inspired you to come up with this slogan? Is it an original political slogan?
Ultimately, this is about reflecting the values of the Labour team. We are in this for New Zealanders. We want them to know that we've got their backs. We're focused on building the economic conditions that allow them to thrive, that allow them to earn more money, to create a better life for themselves and their families, where hard work is rewarded. That's why we're here.
But what is in it? You have not spoken about climate change, environmental, child poverty like your campaign did in 2020. So what is actually in it?
Well, this is the start of the campaign process, and all of those things will be reflected in the commitments that we put before New Zealanders in this election campaign.
Was this the result of sort of focus groups, that sort of thing, or did somebody just come up with, it's a great idea?
The slogan is a result of the work that we've been doing around what kind of message that we want to take to New Zealanders. I want New Zealanders to know that the reason that I am here, the reason I get out of bed and do this job every day, is because I want them to have the opportunity to get ahead. I want them to know that the hard work that they're putting in is going to be rewarded with a better life for themselves and for their families.
But did you sort of get consultants in? Did you get focus groups in before you decided on this slogan? Ultimately,
I chose this as a slogan for our billboards because it reflects the sort of campaign that I want to run.
But did you get people in beforehand to throw a few ideas?
Many people have had views on it.
Are you getting freaked out by the giant press? I suppose
I think I'm going to have to get used to seeing a lot more of those around the country over the next few months.
Thanks, bro.
All right, thanks everybody. Cheers.
Very good.